What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another ABA Japan podcast where this time we will be talking about Yorushika. Now, for those of you guys who have actually remembered my promise, I failed to deliver my promise because it was supposed to be after the podcast, not the podcast, the documentary of Yorushika that I dropped. So it was just last week. Wow. Didn't time pass by like super quick? We went from having Eve and Suis collaborating and releasing a Valentine's Day music to just one day after Valentine's. So some of you guys have wished me Valentine's Day on my YouTube channel, which I thought was a little bit strange. I guess I was not used to it. But nevertheless, we are going to be talking about Yorushika, and Yorushika did have quite a lot of good activity, isn't it? From releasing the song Spring Thief, which after I checked out was really a wonderful song, to dropping a new album soon. So there's a lot of things that we can talk about Yorushika, so I hope you guys are in for this ride, because this time I have a friend with me. That's right. For quite some times in my podcast, I've been talking about how doing podcasts alone is quite a struggle, and finally I got someone to just come on board and share a little bit about our interests of Yorushika. So I got my friend over here, so please welcome Brandon, and Brandon is my man. Hey Brandon.
Hey man, thanks for having me on your channel, and
Sure.
Happy Chinese New Year, bro. Definitely
Sure,
excited
man.
to talk about Yorushika today. Let's go, bro.
Sure, man. Sure.
Yeah.
Yorushika. So what's your experiences with Yorushika like? How long have you been listening to Yorushika?
Actually, I first found out about Yorushika back in last year. That's around last year around June, I think, because I was
Last year.
watching more on Netflix, and there's this show on Netflix on Whiskers Away. I'm not sure if you know. So it's about
Yeah,
the
yeah.
girl who transformed herself into a cat, and I think they sing the ending song for that show. If I'm not mistaken, it's called Hana ni
No, I think it's
something.
called
Ghost in the
Usos.
flower. Is it?
Yeah, Ghost in the Flower. Wait, then I
Ghost in
got
the flower, is it?
confused.
Is that?
Yeah, I got confused with another. I thought it's called Usoski. Usosuki.
I'm not really sure, but I think it's called Ghost in the Flower, and I think they it's the song about the girl transform herself into a cat lah. That's all I remember from the show. But that's how I
Yeah.
first found out about Yorushika. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Someone in the
How
comment
about you,
section
bro?
was someone in the comment section was saying it's called Hanani Bore, because I always thought that the song is called
Hanani Bore.
Usosuki. Yeah, Usosuki, and but Ghost in the Flower. Now that if you translate it, it does make sense to say Hanani Bore now that I think about it. But for myself, my experience with Yorushika was actually not similar like you. I wasn't listening to a lot of the old stuff when I first exposed to it. In fact, the first song that I gotten exposed to Yorushika is Haru Hisagi. Have you heard of the song Haru Hisagi?
Haruhisagi. What's the English title?
It's called Prostitution, and it goes something to it
Ah,
goes. You heard of it?
I heard of it. Yes.
Oh man, that song is so good.
Yes.
That
It
song
is. It
was
is.
like,
I think I also love the new song Spring Thief. That's the one of the most the one that you mentioned in your intro. That's a
yeah.
really good song, man.
I
Spring
I
Thief.
I don't know if you've seen my reaction of Spring Thief or not. I've only known Spring Thief for about like just few days ago, and I listened to it for the first time, and
Yeah.
I haven't been listening to Yorushika for quite some time. Because after I finished doing my reaction thematic week, where I've reacted to a lot of Yorushika's music and as well as an album, and then pretty much after that I will move on to other artists. So because I know I'm coming back to Yorushika with the documentary, and as well as Eve releasing a song, and then somebody asking me to check out Spring Thief. Wow, man, damn, the first time I heard the song, it's like, it's so calm, and when the chorus comes in, the whole thing explodes. Now for those of you guys who are watching, you guys have seen my reaction to Spring Thief, but Brandon, I wanna ask you, man, how do you find that song?
Yeah, I mean, similar to what you just explained, the verse itself is like very calm and with all the guitar, just the guitar, right, if I'm not mistaken. But when it comes to the chorus, right, everything just explode into like a, a, a musical itself, you know. They just add in layers of instruments, so that's like mind blowing, and then it's just very nice, very nice song. I like
See
all
the
the
thing,
pauses that they add also. All those are very thoughtful pauses, man. Shit.
see the thing that I've always thought about Yorushika is that Yorushika is the kind of it's the kind of artist that makes simplicity looks complex. Should I say that? Because if you listen to Yorushika songs, you will feel like, man, this kind of music, how do I write this kind of stuff? But if you really examine closely to the piano and the melody, not the guitar though, not the guitar solos, but the guitar riffs and the chords that they use, it's actually not too complicated. It's actually quite simple.
Yes. But in that simpleness, in the simplicity, it brings out that complexity of the music.
Yeah, man, this
Not
is
sure
where
if
you
that makes
go.
sense.
This is
Yeah,
where I guess sentence like less is more, less is more does
that's
wonder,
for
man. And that's what
definitely.
Yorushika, well, that's what Yorushika does. Brother Sham has commented that the chorus made me explode. Dude, I guess the chorus made everyone explode when we first listened to Yorushika. But besides just Spring Thief, what other music do you what other music from Yorushika captivated you?
I guess one of their most famous song, just a sunny day for you. I think that's one of their most famous song,
Yeah,
right? So I
yeah,
think I
that's
think that okay. Normally when I listen to music, I don't really watch the video, but
a lot of people are
because
gonna
of
hate you for this, man.
yeah, I'm sorry, but because of Yorushika, I figured like, okay, like, you know, I should watch the music video at least for just a sunny day for you. Yeah, so I watched the music video, and until now I don't understand what it's about, to be honest. Yeah.
So the thing is that well, when it comes to Yorushika, there's so much of story and depth inside, and the last time when I first started my reaction channel, and of course Brandon and I have a very similar taste in the way, have very similar habits of music consumption. We are really just music guys, and we are not so much into music videos. And I guess for me, I can't speak for Brandon, but for me, it's because I was first exposed to a lot of Western music. And if you take a look at Western music videos, there isn't really a lot of depth to it. As in, like, they're not like folklore. There are not a lot of amazing stories and Easter eggs that when you watch all of it, it makes up a bigger story. So there's not much of it. So I brought this music consumption into Japanese music, and boy, Brendan, the first time I was listening to songs like Eve and Zutomayo, a lot of people gave me a lot of let's just say they weren't so kind to me. It's like, dude, you're not checking out the music video. I was like, okay, all right. But I will be checking out the music video. And then when I check out the music video in detail, my god, there are so much of details and stories that is inside. So Brandon, I think you just declared yourself into a very dangerous territory.
But
Because
that's
maybe,
yeah. I mean, let's hope the section have some mercy on us, you know.
right. So let me get this straight. Do you have any idea on any of Yorushika's story from the music videos?
You mean the background of how Yorushika came about, or
No, just
just
the whatever that music videos that that you
mm,
see in Yorushika. Did you notice that there's actually a lot of similarities? In fact, I would say that Yorushika's music videos have a lot of repeated shots.
Hmm. Yes, I have to agree on that because I realized for just a sunny day for you,
Right.
I realized that they keep showing the girl at the beach. And I mean, of course, her face is all blurred out and all, but I think they repeated like that scene of her at the beach for a lot of times. Yeah, which I have no idea why. Still trying to understand because I didn't scroll through the comment section.
Right.
I guess the comment section might have explained what the music video is about. Yeah.
Well, uh let me just rephrase my question because when I was saying, do you see any similarities? I don't mean that in one video. I meant that in
Ah.
like a whole lot of videos. Because here's the thing, man. If you notice sunny, just a sunny day for you, which is something that's very easy to take note of, is the girl's face having some kind of a cloud, uh,
Mm.
some kind of cloud with a galaxy image embedded on it, but some kind of cloud that just you can't see the face. And if you watch like other music videos of theirs, you will find that there's actually a lot of repeated effect on their character. Another song is Rain with Cappuccino. Um, Rain with Cappuccino, and you also have Deep Indigo. And I know the song titles maybe you might not remember just on the song title, but I'm sure you know the songs because Brandon over here, we are pretty good friends when it comes to music, and dude's a pretty skilled pianist, so he remembers notes, man. And that's why I gave up on music. And do you notice how those songs, they have like these titles: Fireworks Beneath My Shoes, Rain with Cappuccino. um there's kind of titles that just seem so odd for a song title.
Yeah, that's what I first thought as well. And even with those titles, after I watched the video, I still don't understand why they title it that way. I
Right.
guess maybe the lyrics that there's more in the lyrics itself lah, to understand in order for you to understand more about the title of the music.
So a big part, a huge part
Mm.
in Yorushika's early career from 2017 to at least 2019 has to do with this story that they've been writing on for quite some time. And this story is revolving around these two characters called Amy and Elma. So Amy is a dude and Elma is the girl. I had a hard time in adjusting to that at first. It's like, wait, Amy is the guy and Elma is the girl, because these two names sounds like, Elma sounds like a guy to me and Amy sounds like a girl to me. So it was a little bit tough for me to adjust, thinking, wait, who's who? But after some time, I got used to it. And the thing is that so most of the songs from the first 4 albums is actually about Amy and Elma. And the story goes like this. I don't know how it came from, but Amy is a struggling musician. And Amy is a struggling musician with some kind of a health condition. And I think he has a deadline on his own life. But at the same time, he is also quite disappointed in some things about being a musician. So then he met Elma, which is she met Elma in a cafe. Now for people in the comment section, I'm just trying to piece everything through my memory of whatever I've reacted and whatever I learned from you guys, and as well as the documentary I made. But anyways, they met each other in a cafe, and Elma took notice how Amy was writing music on his paper, sitting on the table alone. And then eventually they get to know each other, and Amy ended up teaching Elma about music, about how to write music. And then Elma became an aspiring musician. And just as their relationship is getting better and better, I think at this point, the whole story about Amy and Elma isn't exactly romantically driven, but there are hints of that. Or I would say is that, how do I put this? It's not a super strong romantic story. I think it's more of a story of between two people, and how music is important and how music connected them both, that they share some kind of affection towards each other. But it's not really super about love, because they never talk about kisses and and I miss you, and not so much about those kind of stuff. So but they get along well together with each other. But one fine day, Amy just disappeared out of nowhere. And I think it's something to do because he can't see a future in himself, as he is probably going to die someday. So he went back to Europe, Sweden.
Okay.
But even though he made the decision to leave Elma, he still misses her. And hence he has dropped some hints by writing letters and sending it back to Elma. And from there, Elma gets to see a lot of stories of his past. Some kind of journal or some kind of diary that she had read before, and she was able to connect the dots, and she decided to go look for Amy. All the way until the point where she was so close in terms of tracing back his steps that she ended up on a pier. But she was too late, because she saw a guitar case over there, and it's Amy's guitar case, and Amy pretty much died over there. You know what?
Shit.
You know what? I just want to let everyone who's like watching, I just want to let you know that it was very tough to tell that story, not because it's a devastating story, but because it's so hard to just compress all those information and trying to present it out.
Oh shit. I mean, so that means the boy died in the end. And the girl, just when the girl managed to find the boy's last whereabouts, then the boy just died. Oh my god, that's so sad.
He drank poison. He drank poison to kill himself.
Oh boy, shit.
Okay, so you know this song? You know this song called Nautilus?
I think I know. I feel like I've seen the scene where the girl is hugging the guitar and she was crying at the pier. So is it that song?
That's the song. That's actually the ending of the whole Amy and Elma story. So that's the final conclusion. I'm not too sure if you remember Nautilus, the song itself. Like, do you need a refresher?
Yeah, I hit me with a refresher. Let's see.
Nautilus is just a very soft sounding song, and it starts with Toki na na da da da, so that's the song.
Yes. Okay, yes.
And that is a song that I would dare say put tears in my eyes, and I don't really cry listening to music. I mean, I didn't exactly cry, but I have like tears coming out, and if I were to repeat the song on and think back about all the stories of what Amy and Elma is, I could possibly cry. But that music video itself is the ending of the whole story. That it's pretty strange, because it is that very ending between Elma and Amy that made Elma a musician. Like, she was having some kind of struggle on finding her own artists in her. You know, it's like she was struggling to find the artist in herself, even though she's been taught how to write by Elma and by Amy, and she have also learned some stuff, and she have tried to write songs, but she felt that it didn't carry any weight until everything happened, and she reflected back on her journey and the reading of Elma's diary. Then she realized that she now have a purpose as a musician. She needs to sing back all those stories that Amy wanted to convey. So, stories like That's Why I Gave Up on Music. Stories like other songs which I can't remember now, like Parade or whatever.
See, now that you mention that story, their music title makes way more sense now. I mean, like just a sunny day for you,
Yeah.
rain cappuccino, rain with cappuccino. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
I
so sad.
I didn't quite understand what fireworks beneath my shoes means, but that's why I gave up on music is a very important title because that's why I gave up on music was actually a song about Amy giving up on music because he just can't. If I'm not wrong, it's something like he can't see himself doing music because he's going to die, and part of it also has to do with how he's a struggling musician, and part of it also has to do with N-buna himself, the producer, who reflected a lot of his own experiences into the songs that he writes. That part of it being he doesn't want to be, he doesn't want his career as a artist to ruin the very art that he's making, and if he were to be exposed with too much on what people think about it, it's going to shake the integrity of his music. So he rather just remove himself. So I think it's a lot to do with a combination of all these factors, and that's why I gave up on music. Certainly, most definitely, it's part of the whole story that is within the Amy and Elma, inclusive of Rain with Cappuccino, and basically any other stories, any other songs that you listen to Yorushika, it's part of that story. So listening back to thinking back about this thing, does it change your perception towards what Yorushika is?
Yes, definitely change, and I think it's also quite quite ingenious of N-buna to be able to come up with few albums based on that story itself, right? I mean,
Right.
from what I heard, you mentioned that the first few albums is based on those stories, and from there he make music out of just based on one story. Oh my god, that's
Yeah.
next
You know,
level.
and
Yeah.
and there's also another next level thing, which is another next level thing is that out of the 4 albums that is revolving around this story, they actually wrote a quite a lengthy page, quite a lengthy journal of Elma's journey of finding back Amy. So there was like a huge diary that details step by step, not step by step, day by day, or weeks by week, or week by week, on Elma's thoughts as she travels to look for Amy. And then when you read the whole journal, and then you look at the song that is released in the same album, holy shit, suddenly all those lyrics that was so hard to understand, it's actually things that they are
Makes
going
sense.
through. Yeah, it's actually from the journal. So it's like, can you imagine if you and I, we write a song, right? And for
Yeah.
all
Okay.
those viewers who are watching, imagine we are writing a song, and I want to write about like how I've left only $2 in my pocket as I stood under the rain, waiting for my time
Um,
to come. And people would be like theorizing and having no idea what this thing is about. But when you read my journal, it's actually I was waiting for my mom to come pick me up. I wanted to call her, but I left no credit. All I got was $2, and it was raining. So
I
yeah,
didn't bring umbrella.
yeah, yeah.
I see, I see.
So that's Yorushika, and besides Yorushika, there's a lot of interesting stories such as Zutomayo and Eve, and who else? I can't remember who else, but these music videos they got are super huge depth towards all of them. Well, today we're besides only talking about that, we're gonna dive in a little bit deeper into the story of Yorushika, which I did a documentary, but then I stumbled new sources, so I thought I wanted to cover those sources over here. So let's jump in and let's take a look about the story of a little bit of other stories, history of N-buna.
Sure.
So
Sounds good.
so to understand the band's origin, it's best to start with founding member N-buna, identifying as a male. Oh, very, very important sentence in 2020 and 2021. Identifying as a male.
Are you Amy or
hailing.
Elma here?
I mean, like, if it's were to be
Okay.
back in those days, you know, if you say N-buna and you know it's a guy's name, you don't have to. Yeah. Anyways, I don't want to get into that territory. Anyways, identifying
Yeah,
as a
yeah,
male,
yeah.
hailing from Gifu Prefecture of Japan, he's been active since 2012 as a producer of Vocaloid songs under the artist name Vocalo P. He began working on electronic music in his second year of junior high school, with his purchase of an electric guitar and some music composition software. In 2013, his songs were charting at number 1 in the Vocaloid category on Japan's premier video sharing site, Nico Nico Doga. So as I was doing this documentary, I've learned that N-buna had started writing music at the age of 13. Can you believe that?
13.
At the age of
What
13.
was I doing at I can't even remember what I'm doing at 13, man. Still started from one. That's it.
Okay, so the thing is that I can say that I start writing at 13 as well.
Okay, okay.
That was the time where I was really exposed to Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit, and I was going through my puberty phase and knowing what's cool. So I started getting into music a lot, and I wanted to write my own music. And of course, I don't know how to play music, so I write music on my own, just lyrics and shaping up melodies. And I was writing music about like yam ice cream. I don't know why, but I was writing.
Sorry. What?
I was writing songs about yam ice cream because I was having some kind of fondness towards the yam flavored ice cream. But I was writing this kind of song. But here's the
Oh.
difference between like Japanese people and possibly a lot of people. You know, a lot of I'm talking about the Japanese spirit, which is they really put a lot of heart and passion in what they do. And N-buna pretty much just went from writing song at 13 years old and then just keep on improving his craft in Vocaloid. And dude, have you checked out any Vocaloid songs before?
If Vocaloid songs in specifically, I don't think so. Yeah, but Vocaloid producers like Yoasobi,
Yeah,
if I'm not
yeah.
mistaken. Yoasobi's producer is also part of
Yeah.
Vocaloid, right?
He,
Yeah,
he
yeah, yeah.
used to be
So,
from Vocaloid.
yeah. So the production of their songs, then those I hear before, but not Vocaloid songs. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't exposed too much to Vocaloid music until this channel. If back then, before this channel, and I was listening to Vocaloid music, I would probably think it's like, what kind of clubbing music is this? Because it was very computerized, and of course, the only Vocaloid music that I've exposed to was all the much more easier consume Vocaloid music. But there are so much more deeper Vocaloid music that upon starting this channel only I realized. Like for example, I've just listened to this song called Hikario, which is by this very dark Vocaloid producer. And this very dark Vocaloid producer sings a lot of dark things about Japanese society stuff and
Wait,
stories.
when you're talking about dark things, it's like those taboo topics. Is that what you mean? Or like those?
I'm talking about like young girls having struggle in finding who they are. But at the same time, they are exposed to sex, and as well as way much more older people who would perform a lot of sexual acts onto one girl, and then those girls would usually confuse that as love, so they would keep on going back. Yeah, it's pretty dark.
Okay. I get it. Yes.
And as well as human trafficking, all this kind of stuff. So it's pretty dark. But just listening to the song Kiko Hana Hikario, that was pretty amazing, and it made me realize that those people who came up from Vocaloid, such as N-buna and Ayase of Yoasobi, when they do music, it really does feel a whole lot different. How would you describe music that you heard so far from Yorushika and Yoasobi, who are Vocaloid producers?
Uh, I don't have any comparison to make because I haven't heard Vocaloid songs, but so far my impression is that their songs is quite it's leaning towards a bit more pop. I'm not really sure if I'm on the right track yet. It's like pop rock kind of genre because they have the full band coming in at the background of the songs. That's what I can hear, and they also try to, especially for Yorushika, I think the electric guitar sound is quite prominent. I'm not sure if it's because N-buna himself is an electric guitarist, but that might be one of the reasons, right? So,
Yeah. Like I was very surprised because Vocaloid was something that was sort of like popular a few years ago, and then
mm,
when sudden but the but the label of Vocaloid haven't quite left them yet, because a lot of people who follow them, they just see how they evolve, but they're still fans, so they might have still refer them as Vocaloid producers. And when I first started listening to all these Vocaloid people, I just thought that, wait, isn't this just J-rock? So I didn't
yeah.
understand what is so Vocaloid about it. Well, that's because Vocaloid, there are two things about Vocaloid that I've learned is that one is the software, using those computer synthesized software such as Hatsune Miku, Kagamine, Len and Rim. And then
Mm,
the other aspect of Vocaloid is the massive sound production and effects in the musical arrangement and composition. A lot of effects, a lot of very creative writing. That by the time that once they're done with Vocaloid and they come out to do songs like Yoasobi, Yorushika, Eve, Mafu Mafu, suddenly it's like they scaled down a lot of these complexities. It's either they have matured from writing those kind of musical scores, and they have ascended to this level of thinking. As time goes by, if you check out a lot of artists who are very good in writing, as time goes by you just see that their music just gets more refined and simpler, but it packs so much impact.
yeah. Then the phrase comes in again. Less is more.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so even though they are adding so few things in a song, but it sounds so complete. Doesn't make sense, but
Ex-
it is how it is.
Yeah, it is how it is, because when you
Yeah.
listen back, when I listen back to those Vocaloid people, or people who used to collaborate with Vocaloid producers, and I listened to the song, it just sounded like, wow, this is just rock in another level. But one thing I do have to say is that Vocaloid producers, when they compose music, there's a certain touch of class, as in they know why those sounds are inside. They put sounds like as if Hans Zimmer knows what to put sound.
They know what the people want to hear at that time. Like I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And also another thing I would say is that Vocaloid producers, they're very daring. So people like N-buna, they're very daring in inserting different kind of sounds, and just create a whole spectrum of sound. But anyways, as we are exploring the history of N-buna, there isn't much information on the web about where N-buna met Suis and the other members of the band, or what inspired them to start playing together. Their debut moment was likely their first live performance at Shinjuku Blaze in conjunction with the release of their first mini album. Yorushika has found the spotlight again recently with a second mini album, and taking on number 5 on the Oricon charts that month. A seriously impressive feat for such a newcomer. So that's right, when I was doing my documentary, Yorushika, Suis and N-buna had met through a mutual friend, and Suis, which is the name of the lead singer, was already a fan of N-buna as a Vocaloid producer. And at first they were talking about how they are coming together to work as a business relationship, before getting into they were just thinking of starting it as a business relationship. And then it has come to a point where N-buna has thought that there is no way that someone else could sing Yorushika's music. Um,
Someone else other than Suis, is it?
yeah, it's
Right.
it's a pretty
Okay.
it's a pretty amazing story, isn't it? To hear
Hmm.
how it's you know, have you been in a band before?
I uh so I've performed before, but that was very long time ago. So it was just a very it's a one off type of stint. Yeah. So it was a performance at an event of, if I'm not mistaken, it's an event of Dio Club or something like that.
You
Yeah. It was just performing to students. So
right.
sorry.
You
Oh,
you were performing like that at a time, but but you do play quite often with other people in church, right?
yes, I do. But church is different. It's not exactly the same as performing in front of an audience. Yeah. So I think the time when we performed to the students, we were performing a song from Macklemore. Yeah. It was
Right.
a, yeah. It's a very Western song for
I
sure.
I've I've been in a couple of bands before, and when I say a couple of bands, I don't mean to say we've been in bands and we play underground and we have like some underground scene with some fans. I don't mean it that way. I'm talking about like I play in a couple of bands as in like we just gather together with few different bunch of people and we try to make it
Yeah.
work, and it's tough, man. It's tough to stick together and play music and find that person to say, hey, let's play music for many years together. So have you ever come into those kind of experiences?
So I guess after that performance, right, we decided that it's too much too much of the work, and it just doesn't work out because they couldn't commit to it. So I guess so far that's the only experience of performing that I had, and like what you say, it's definitely tough to find people that have the same type of goal that they work towards, especially in the music industry, and
Yeah.
someone they want to stick together. And if it can get quite demotivated if like after a period of time your songs don't get heard by other people, and you don't get as famous as you would like to, then you
I
might be
have a point of
demotivated.
view in this though. Like
Mm-hmm.
as I was much younger and I grew up being very heavily influenced in the Western way of thinking growing up because you're a kid and and when I say growing up, I was pretty much very heavily influenced by American media.
Mm-hmm.
So, but slowly, eventually, I've got more in tune with my Asian roots, and I really practice a lot of Asian way of thinking. Very classic Asian way of thinking that people will laugh when they see memes like "You doctor yet?" you know,
Or engineer, lawyer.
yeah. You lawyer yet? You doctor yet? You know. Well, I'm not saying that I'm gonna do this to my kid, but I've come to realize that the surrounding of where I am requires me to be that because both you and I we are living in a very Asian oriented country, and even though we are quite westernized, we're quite uh, how do I put this? We are quite exposed to a lot of commercialization. We are still stuck in a place where the Asian roots are pretty strong, and I myself like to get involved in a lot of projects. And if there's one thing I find out and I realize that why it's so tough to make it in music is because you just gotta spend a lot of hours doing it. And the thing is that when it comes to getting into music, that's why, if I think about how N-buna, who is at 13 years old, writing music for the first time and then eventually building up to having number one hits on the platform Nico Nico Doga, and not just one, a couple, and having an album while still being a secondary school student. These guys, they don't sleep it's not an adult thing, it's a teenager thing. And I lived those kind of lifestyles before, to a point where I've shattered some friendships. I've since mellowed down, because if you want to create something amazing, if you spend 8 hours just working, and then you 2 hours on like doing chores and taking bath, and if and usually you're left with 2 hours of like slacking off, these Japanese guys are probably spending 6 more hours on the same day just to write that music.
But on that note, do you think that connection makes a difference as well in this music industry? Because definitely talent is one thing, but if let's say you don't know the right people, or I guess if you don't have the connection, it's do you think that it's hard to make it big?
Oh
I'm not
yeah,
sure.
man. If connection is something that I failed to see when I was much younger, because I was focusing on a lot of substance. But the thing about Japanese artists is that it's kind of interesting, because anywhere you go, you could either fall back on either substance or connection. But the Japanese guys, they're crazy, man. Because no Japanese things that you see you will ever say, oh, it's not that good. So Japanese people, or Japanese product, or Japanese outcomes, whatever that they produces, and let's go back into music. These guys are so packed with substance in their music that I think if they don't do well in their own music, they will never go out to connect with people. That's what I think.
Oh, shit. Okay, yeah, I understand. So it's like if I'm not satisfied with my own outcome, I will not go out and show to other people. That's the kind of mindset that they have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've talked a lot about Eve to you, which I'm not so sure you heard any songs or not, but I think you can get that I'm quite a big fan of Eve. And when Eve was writing
Eve,
this, yeah, when Eve was writing this amazing album, it's one of my favorite album. It's called Bunka. It's so many great tracks are inside, and he wrote it himself. And he has a very good friend by the name of Soul, who is also a singer and does music as well. And throughout the whole time, while he was writing that album, and it takes a long time to write an album, it takes like minimally 6 months just to come up with like a draft of an album. As he sees his best friend all the time for 6 months, he did not once tell him that he is writing an album. So
Jeez. Wait. Okay.
so true to what you're saying, it's like they don't want to show people the kind of stuff that they're doing if it's not good enough. So man, I think the Japanese people, they crazy, man.
Extreme, man. Yeah. Extreme results, extreme effort.
Yeah. So for
Yeah.
N-buna, I would think that he will probably run through the whole some same kind of routine as well, where he would just after school he would write a lot of music and just keep on improving himself. There was a turning point for him though. It was after he released a song, which I've forgotten what the song is, but I put it as a significant moment in my documentary. It was the first time that he has hit number one in that platform, and it's a song that he hit number one. And ever since he hit that number one, he told himself that there was no way that he could slack in his production. So he go all the way out to learn more about mixing, arrangement, composition. Now, I just want us to think back to what we just mentioned about how a secondary high school student is already spending so much time on writing his craft, releasing a song. And then when the song got more popular, it's like, you know what, let's kick it up a notch.
It's not enough, bro.
It's not enough. Have you watched like those Japanese videos of people working hard?
Yes, I've watched like those people that really mastered their craft, and they can do it like in world record speed. So those kind of videos is like it's really mind blowing, and it's next level. Yeah,
And not
actually,
only
actually,
and not go ahead.
yeah. I mean, this reminds me of something. Is have N-buna ever sing in his videos? His music.
Yeah, he did.
Have
He
you
did.
ever seen?
If I'm not wrong, Spring
Oh.
Teeth he provided backup vocals because for the first time I've heard male vocals in Yorushika's music, and I didn't heard any in before. Maybe I wasn't paying enough attention, or maybe he didn't put it that high of a volume. But Spring Teeth, you can actually hear his voice.
Mm, okay,
Yeah.
okay. I'll check it out.
So going back, like what you're saying is that I can imagine, those people who you watch videos of people smashing world records and displaying how well they're doing the stuff. Isn't it funny that every time when you watch those videos, once they are finished, they would still say that, oh, there's still room for improvement.
Yes. It's like it's a being perfect. It's not perfect enough. Like, no, just let it be.
Yeah. I would someday would love to try this out to lock myself and just try to live this thing and see whether would I go nuts or not. But N-buna and Suis, they had met each other through an acquaintance, and ever since then they started their career together. So with a mini album of 7 or 8 songs, you might suspect a band of loading a bunch of afterthought B-sides behind 1 or 2 songs that push the sales. I personally found every single track on both mini albums worth playing good for money for. The fast-paced bangers are bookended by beautiful and lulling instrumental tracks that could underscore the most tear-jerking or heartwarming scenes of high-production anime. Evocative in lyric and melody is the name of Yorushika's game. N-buna takes inspiration from his home prefecture of Gifu when writing many of the songs, incorporating nostalgic images of dried out August clouds, long waits at sun-bleached bus stops, and bittersweet young love. Like the old days of summer vacation always seems to end too soon. Wow, man, then I guess, yeah, it is true. I spoke about how N-buna translates a lot of his own personal experience into his music, and yeah, it's like hearing this now that we can see those scenes, why Yorushika's music videos are so scenic.
So is he portraying his own relationship past into his music video?
I don't think
Or
there's so
maybe
much about old relationship part. I mean, it's kind of bad for me to say this. For someone like N-buna, I don't know if he would even date anyone. He's quite young, actually. He's 25.
oh, he's 25.
Yeah. He's only 25 or 26, maybe 26 this year. So he's actually quite young.
Oh shit.
So
Okay.
I don't know. N-buna, the way I hear these stories about N-buna, because in the story of Elma and Amy, it has a lot to do with in Europe and Sweden. And I don't know, man, but I can't talk about Europe or Sweden until at least I'm like 29 years old, because I've never been to that country before. So to see suddenly, and he wrote this thing since 2017. So whenever I picture N-buna, I picture him as someone who is probably in his 30 years old, somebody who probably looks like Johnny Depp, that kind of look, Mickey Rourke, someone with enough
Like
experience.
yeah, I mean, he's 25. I mean, I still can't believe that he's 25. That's like
Yeah,
around my age. Yeah, that's
exactly, man.
shit.
I
What am I
mean,
doing?
I can't imagine if you were to tell me that, dude, you know what, I'm gonna write a story, and it's gonna be a story of a struggling musician, and eventually he'll kill himself, and there will be a nice reunion, except that she's only reuniting with the person in the location but not the presence, and then you tell me these songs and you play to me these songs. I will feel, wow, dude, dude, you sound like you're 40 years old, man.
Where do you get all this inspiration from? My
that's
goodness.
that shows how N-buna is like, wow, he really does have an old soul. So if you tell me that
Yeah.
N-buna is reflecting his old dating experience in high school and putting it into his songs, I totally cannot see that.
Yeah, it is. It won't have that much depth to it, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't. It
His
wouldn't.
songs. Mm.
And I guess like knowing this a little bit about him, I guess that's the reason why we see that there are so many amazing scenes in Yorushika, music videos. Just a sunny day for you, Deep Indigo Parade, um, and probably you can even say the clouds and the ghosts as the character is walking past by, and there are so many different countries. Who knows, man? Maybe N-buna is truly like what some people have speculated, have grew up in Sweden. Maybe he has been quite a traveler. Well, that we'll never know. Well, that's it for today as we are talking about Yorushika. We talk a little bit about Amy and Elma in the beginning of the podcast, and as well as we delve in a little bit about N-buna's history. And then along the way, of course, I have my friend over here, Brandon, as we talk a little bit about our experiences in listening to Yorushika. So I hope this has been nice, and you can watch back again as this is going to be turned into a snippet on the channel. Thank you so much, Brandon, for joining, and
Yeah,
maybe we'll
man.
have each other again talking about more music.
Thanks for having me once again, bro. Thanks.
All right. Well, I'll see you guys soon. For those of you guys watching, the outro sound is coming, so be careful of the audio. And here it goes in 3, 2, 1. We'll see you.